everybody, and welcome to the Choir Directors Academy. Thank you so much. Hey, Joseph, how are you? Tuning in on tonight, and there's my friend David Jones, Professor David Jones. It's good to see you.
Hey, Stacey.
Thank you for everybody that's tuning in. Oh, shout out to Lauren Sanders. She sent me a T-shirt, winter season. So you all can contact her if you would like to get one of those. But welcome to our show. I'm so thankful for you, David, accepting my invitation. As just a little bit of history. David and I have been friends. Actually, he was the first Jones that I became friends with. I didn't know he had all them other brothers. I just knew him, and I knew his two sisters until, you know, when later on down the line, I found out he had like Rodney, Justin, and Dwayne. And then a couple of years ago, I met Walter and Larry. I was like, okay, how many more? I'm like, how many more is in this group? But I'm glad
they keep coming.
Right. Okay, but I'm thankful that you did take time to be with us on today. And I'm trying to keep this show kind of short because, you know, we're still in the holiday season. This is my last show, y'all. This is it. It's my last show for the year, and I'll be back January 16th with another guest that's like raring to go. They already emailing me like, what am I doing? So we got them lined up for you next year, but let's just take care of the night so that we all can go back to our laziness, especially me, right? I kind of know your history. You know, I know your family. I kind of know what it is, but the people that's out in the audience don't necessarily know. So just to start us out, give us a little about your background, how you got started in the music ministry. I know when I met you, we both were young and we were choir directors. Our churches had just started fellowship, so that's how we became friends. But like, did you have mentors? Well, I'm sure you did. You're Jones. You got to have mentors. And how did they influence your directing technique?
Well, basically, well, you know, I come from a musically inclined family. My dad and my grandfather, who I really first started noticing musically, of him playing the guitar at the church, and also he stayed with us for a while. So in the house, he would always would pick up the guitar and just start picking it up and start playing, and I would notice that, and of course, my dad would also play the guitar, and also my older brother, starting with Rodney and Larry also. Walter didn't play the guitar, unfortunately. He was more so into the saxophone, thank God, saxophone and the keyboards. And then also Dwayne started to play as well. So music was always in my family. I grew up in music, also in the church, singing in the choirs. As far as directing, I actually started directing at the age of 9. And I was in the fourth grade at Morse Elementary School on the west side of Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And my fourth grade teacher, I think most of my brothers had this teacher. Her name was Mrs. Kabrinsky. And she pulled me out of the class one time, and she came and she pulled me up by my shirt because she was that type of teacher. And she was like, listen, I need you to direct this song. I'm like, huh? I need you to direct this song. I know you go to church. That's how she said, I know you go to church, and I need you to direct this song. Right. And so it was Hosanna, Hosanna. No, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, lift up your gates and sing, or better known as the Holy City. And I directed that song in front of the entire audience there in the fourth grade and the entire school. And I received a standing ovation.
Wow.
And when that happened, I was like, oh, wow.
Right. That's your first reaction.
That was my like, okay, this is something I really can get used to doing here. So basically, other than that, listening to a lot of LPs within the home. We had a lot, of course, Dr. Matty Moss Clark LPs, a lot of Milton Bronson and the Thompson Community Singers LPs, a lot of oldies but goodies. And I used to rotate those over and over and over and over and over and over again. And so it was endowed within me to be in front of choirs. And of course, with that experience at the age of 9, growing up, I was kind of the one to do a lot of the babysitting within the family. So within our home on the west side, we had these stairs within our home. I would just stand the kids, my younger brothers and sisters and my nieces and nephews on the steps. and we still start a choir that way. And so that's basically when my directing skills really started, was right there in the house, in the stairway with my brothers and my sisters and my nieces and nephews. So that's how I started out. And I met you, of course, at Walker's Temple.
Right.
And I used to cringe. I'm going to be very transparent.
Oh,
I used to, oh my God. I used to cringe when you all would to come over because you all would kill. Oh my God. It would be like, what, 12 of you all, maybe at the most. You would sound like it was 30 or 40 strong. Perfect pitch, perfect harmony, flawless performance.
Oh my God.
We used to sit there like, we're not finna sing because
well, I'm glad you felt that way, because I would be sitting there looking at them like, why am I hearing a domino? That is not right.
No, you and your choir were known throughout Chicago of having that wow factor. Everywhere you all went, you wowed everyone with your ability to hold great harmony and with such favor and such savor. It was so good to hear you all sing. And like every time you all would come over, we used to cringe. That's like, oh my God, they're finna kill us, make us look bad.
No.
But everyone would tell you that. Everyone knows that about you. And what was it, Holy Redeeming Tabernacle? What was the name of the church? There it is. There it is.
But you all don't know how nervous we were, especially myself standing up, because singing a cappella is something different, and you never really know what people are going to say. Aaron said, "Hey y'all, Cathedral of Faith and Pillar of Truth."
Hey Aaron.
Pillar of Truth. But it was a challenge for me. But you just, like I said, you just don't know how nervous I was. I mean, just to walk in there, and I knew your family, and I know your family is known for singing as well, instruments and singing. So I was kind of like, ooh. But
it motivated me to really tune my ear and to really be more prepared to stand in front of choirs, to know that you really have to know what you're doing when you stand in front of a choir and command a choir to sing. And that was what you were doing. You were commanding them to sing without any music. Come on now, really? Who can do that? Nowadays, everybody's dependent upon a music, a track, or something.
That's true. I give you that. To God be the glory. But I give you that we do depend on the music a lot. And, it took a crashing. It took the electricity going out to help me to realize I need to take another avenue to get this done. Yeah, that's true story. That's what happened. Everything, the electricity went out and everybody's voice went everywhere. And I was like, this is not happening to me no more. This is not. And that's when I became very stringent. Okay.
But, yeah, okay. No, but it takes a director, a good director. A director must have a great ear.
True. In
order to really teach a choir, because you never know when that musician is going to show up.
True.
That musician just may show up, but he may not know that music.
Exactly.
And if you trust me, just as sure as you're living, it's going to happen to you as a director. You're going to stand before a crowd and want to teach a song, and that musician is not fully there to support you, and you're going to have to stand sure-footed and teach that song. So absolutely, and that's something you did, and it motivated me. And so you were one of my inspirations, whether you believe it or not, Angela.
Well,
you were one of my inspirations. Absolutely.
Thank you so very much. Well, at least I know that I impacted somebody's life positively, and that's generally what you want to do. And I want people to, when they come around you, they get inspired to do something better, because that's how I am when I'm around others, or I'm listening to something on YouTube or wherever. It motivates me to do better, step up my game, as they say, just to do better. Now, listen. Now, you are over a vast music department. I've seen the videos. Yes. You just did a cantata not too long ago. Now, yes. How did you bridge the gap between the young and the old, the generations? Because I get that from a lot of people. They have questions because they come in they have a department and they have people from all ages, backgrounds, whatever. And it's kind of like they're trying to bring everybody together to sing and cooperate and work together as a team. And they're just like, I don't understand it. Now, me, most of the ones from my choir kind of like grew up in there, and I had some people to come in from outside, but they kind of blended in real quickly. So how did you do it when you took over Mount Olive? How did you do? Because actually you've been a minister of music of other churches as well, so you can draw on the background from any one of them. But how do you bridge the gap between the generations?
Well, basically, first is coming in and hearing the voice of the pastor, or basically who's going to be your boss, hearing his vision and what he has for the church. That's the main focus, hearing his vision first. Once you hear his vision, then you have to feel the audience. Okay, you have to study the audience, see the age ranges within the audience. Within Mount Olive have a lot of seasoned saints that are there. And also now that we're in a turnaround season where we're receiving a lot of millennials and a lot of young people who are coming into the church. So basically what you have to do, you have to put something on the plate for everyone to be able to walk in and pull something off of it. You can't be stagnant with just, oh, we got a lot of older people here, so we're just going to do traditional music. Well, what about those young people that are joining the church? They're not going to want to always come to the church and hear Jesus went to Calvary to save a wretch like you and me. That's love. Okay, that gets worn out to them. So you have to create a balance within that ministry. Okay, it's good to sing that song. Okay, but sing it at the appropriate time, you know. But at the same breath, you also have to reach out to those songs. That's why you always have to be current and listening to the current material that's out today and see what actually make the younger people move. What motivates them to get more involved within the church or listen to the song or maybe want to purchase that particular song. If it's something that's on the Billboard charts, absolutely you should be singing it in your church because it's being streamed, it's being purchased. That's why it's on the Billboard. So that lets you know, okay, that's something that my people, that the parishioners within the church is listening to. So I need to be able to reach out, teach those particular songs, but also sing those particular songs at the appropriate time. Just because a song is hot does not mean that you got to, oh, it's first Sunday, I'm going to sing it then. No, you cannot, because first Sunday may be a little different from Youth Sunday. So that particular song that may be a little bit more boppity, you know, maybe up-tempo, may be more appropriate for Youth Sunday, but your first Sunday service is maybe a little bit more structured because a lot of churches, you know, you have your communion. You have if you're more traditional, your feet washing, that's on Sunday nights and stuff like that. But you can't sing those particular type songs. So you have to create a balance, use intelligence, use wisdom in selecting songs within your ministry. Like I say, know your audience, know what makes them rise to their feet, know what makes them lift their hands in worship, know what makes them want to pick up their cell phones and start going to Facebook too. Okay, if you presented that song to the church and they didn't receive that, okay, well, you know not to use that song no more.
That's true. That's absolutely
true. Sometimes you have to throw something out there in order to learn. When I walked into Mount Olive, I did not know it all. You know, I had to, you know, test the waters a little bit. And I said, okay, well, I learned my lesson there. Okay, and now I know that this is the type of music that this particular church wants, this type of playlist that they love. But at the same time, you also want to grow the ministry. So you don't want to keep using the same type of songs over and over and over again, or the same styles of song. You always want to be new, cutting edge, and refreshing.
Okay, so with that in mind, how do you? What's your interpretation or your perspective on like taking the hymns and updating them? You know, because I hear you like most of our millennials really don't know the hymns. We do because we were required to learn them, and we learned them.
Required, yeah,
right. Required is the word. We were required to learn them and sing them, and you know all of the verses and all of that stuff. But the new millennials coming in, they don't know that. So I had that question posed to me too. Should we update the songs to their flavor, or should we just try to teach them the music as it is?
I say both.
Okay.
I say both. Absolutely. You must keep the original hymn. You must keep the substance of it. You must keep the heart of the original hymn. You must keep the hymns alive. Absolutely. But now there are some hymns that you absolutely cannot touch.
Okay. So I was just wondering if you were gonna go if you were gonna
There's
go
some
there.
hymns you just cannot touch. You
Right.
cannot, don't sprinkle no cinnamon, no sugar on it. Just leave it alone.
Oh,
Leave it as is. So with that being said, there are some songs that you can kind of tailor, you know, kind of make it more new, more refreshed, more refined, more catered to your particular congregation. Absolutely. So, but like I said, there are some hymns you just cannot touch. There are some standards within the church you cannot touch, but there are some songs that you may have not be so much of a standard, you know,
right.
that you can kind of play with a little bit to kind of draw the new crowd in.
Exactly. Let me give a few shout outs while we're here. Shanita Ovida is on, Joseph Gonzalez, Demetria Pitts, Shania Lashley, Anna Hess, Jessica, hey there, Lisa Sevier, Darwin was on here, Cassia, your brother Larry Jones, Sharinda, Beatrice, Jacqueline Latham, V Type V, oh Lady V Tyson, Robert Johnson, Mary Marshall, and Wayne Holloway. All right, Lisa Haynes, awesome. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it. Now you kind of touched on it a little bit, but let's take it from the perspective or the avenue. Like I said, you've worked at a lot of different churches, and we know Pastor Nathan Simmons. He was one of my favorite people. Okay, so I know you had to shuffle some things and know some things to work for him.
That was,
Okay,
yeah,
but
that was boot camp.
yeah,
That was boot camp,
he
sure
was
enough. Yeah.
he. You know what? I loved him. That's all I can say. I was afraid of him a little bit sometimes, but I loved him. I really did. I appreciated him. Hey, Annette. Okay, now
Hey, Annette.
let's just level this out. In being accepted or hired to be the minister of music for various churches, if you're following behind somebody who's not a legend, or you know things kind of like shaky or whatever, it's a little bit easier. But if the person, your predecessor, was successful in the job, how were you able to just walk into the job? Because you know you have to deal with a stigma from somebody else anyway. You know, whenever you come in, I know me assuming a new role, you come in, everybody automatically kind of compares you to who preceded you. How did that affect you in the things that you did, or when you had your plans? Because everybody has their plans when they walk in the door. You know, you have
Right.
your things that you want to do. So how did you do it? Would you recommend a person doing it right away, or stepping back, waiting a while? I mean, how did you do it? How did you kind of work your way in there to where that the music department kind of fell in line and trusted you and kind of followed your lead? Because that's what we are. We're really team leaders.
Right.
You know, we're selected and we're hired to be team leaders. So how did you get that whole team to rally behind you and follow at whichever church it is? But I'm just using Mount Olive at the time, because I'm assuming before, I know it, at Pastor Nathan Simmons, there was somebody in the role before you. So how did you?
Well, at Citadel of Hope, God rest his soul, the late Dr. Maurice Culpepper
Right.
was the minister of music there at the present time when I came on. But basically, Maurice was on Sunday nights.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I came to Citadel, Pastor Nathan Simmons put me on Sunday mornings.
Okay.
And so basically, I was doing the morning and Maurice would do the Sunday nights. And so basically, we had a great balance. We had a great working relationship. It was a learning experience because of the different types of services that we had at Citadel.
Right.
Sunday morning was your more wholesome, more locked, solid service.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday night was your more evangelistic style, more community vibe type service. So it had a different flair to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so knowing the difference between, because so sometimes I had to, you know, cover Maurice on Sunday nights, and on Sunday mornings I was there most of the time. So you had to know the difference between the two. Now, Maurice Culpepper Maurice Culpepper carried such a great spirit within Citadel of Hope. So me coming in, it was like a learning lesson, and I had to humble myself really good
Right.
because I was coming in on his territory,
Right.
and so I had to walk and a certain way amongst the people. I didn't want to be overbearing. I didn't want to come in and become. I'm from Chicago. I'm a
Right.
Jones. I'm from Choir Nation, Choir back headquarters, Chicago,
Right.
Illinois. I know everything about choirs. Absolutely not. When I came to Atlanta, I had to learn. That's when I really had to learn to be current.
Okay.
I really had to learn to be current in Atlanta because the styles were totally different and from up
From
north
Chicago.
than from the south. So I had to totally sit down and kind of like, okay, let me really study the South. So when I moved down here, it was like a totally different new level of ministry for me when I moved down here. Coming into Mount Olive, what I would say is it was a traditional church. So my assignment was to come in and to bring something more to bring the worship atmosphere on the current level, or
Okay.
current style where we are now in music ministry. Um, like I said, it was the current minister music. What more traditionals? They were always behind the organ.
All
I was
right.
the first minister of music to actually stand in front of the
Oh,
people,
wow.
to stand
Okay.
in front of the actual choir. Yeah, they were. All of their former minister of music stayed behind the organ, and so they trusted me. So one thing that you have to have going into ministry is character and charisma.
Oh,
And so
okay.
that was always in my favor. I always had character and I always had charisma coming in to a new ministry, not really knowing the people and the people not really knowing me,
Right.
not really knowing my background. All they know is looking at the resume. And it was so funny how I landed to Mount Olive. I was at their sister church at the particular time, and the minister of music and I switched places. Funny, don't know, but it was a God thing. Trust me, it was a God thing. We switched places. She went to the church where I was at, and I went to Mount Olive, and they were sister churches. And and
Whoa.
and I just fit into Mount Olive like a glove. And it, in order to really fit well, you also have to have a heart of love. You have to be able to love God's people. You also have to have a compassion for heart's people. Once they see your heart, once they see your passion, and once they see your compassion for them, then they will get with you, then they will trust you. And so that's the relationship that I have with Mount Olive, that they were able to trust me. They allowed me to come in. They allowed me to serve them. I don't call myself to being over them. I always say that I'm serving
Serving.
them, that we are a team.
Hmm.
I can't do this by myself.
No, you
I
can't.
can't stand in front of a bunch of blue chairs and just start directing my arms. Nothing's going to happen. You have to have people up there, so you have to treat them a certain way
Yes, you
in
do.
order for them to want to come up there on a consistent basis. These are volunteers, and volunteers can volunteer themselves at home.
Yes, they
And
can.
so you have to appreciate them as much as possible. You have to show them, give them your all, give them 100%. And once you give them 100%, guess what? They're going to give you back 100%.
Yes, they
If
will.
you give them the energy, they will give you that energy back. And that's what we're experiencing right now at Mount Olive. I'm giving them 100%. I'm giving them that energy, and they're giving it back to me. The ministry are growing. There's like, I'm over like 12 ministries right now
Whoa.
with what that's up under, yes, up under the music and worship arts ministry. There are 12 different sectors within that ministry, and it's full time.
Yes, it
It's a lot of
is.
work, but but my passion and my heart for the people, I love what I'm doing. So it's no sweat. Yeah, it wears you out, but it's no sweat at the end of the day. I know I'm going to be rewarded greatly. I am being rewarded greatly because they sow back into me with their love and with their heart. And so, like I said, going back to what you're saying, coming in with versus someone that's already been there, um, also respect the work that they've done before you.
Okay.
Respect the work that they've done before you. Every good thing that they've done, use it.
Okay.
Try to expound upon it, try to move forward with the great things that they've done, and keep it consistent. You never want to totally erase the past administrations of a music ministry. I think that
Exactly.
can be kind of disrespectful, you know, and for the hard work and for the people that was there with that administration, the work that they put into it. You don't want to erase that. So, of course, you always want to respect the work that they've done, and just move forward with the work. Like I said before, work with the pastor and his vision. You may have your own ideas. You may have your own goals. You may have, I've been there, done that. No
Right.
pastor, no this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, that's not your church. That's
True.
not your choir.
That's true.
That's God's church, and there's a man that manages that church that's called the pastor. Okay,
Right.
so what he says goes. So if he says, "Listen, I want this, that, and the other," you have to give them this, that, and the other, or guess what? Hey, you're going to be out the door.
Exactly.
And that's what's going on a lot here in the South. I don't know what's going on in Chicago. I haven't been up there in a while, but in the South, we have a lot of issues with ministers of music trying to plant their foot at a church. You have to know that that is not your ministry. You're a member there, and
Right.
9 times out of 10, you are hired help.
Exactly. And hired help can be fired.
Absolutely. And so you are there on assignment, and you have to obey leadership. You have to do what they have requested of you. And it's okay to offer your suggestions, offer your opinions, offer your, look, I think we should go this way. Well, Pastor, I think we should do this. Let's create this particular ministry. God, I want to do this with this particular. I want to buy these particular type of robes. Everything needs to be done decent and in order.
Yes.
Decent and in order. And you
Yes.
can't come in and want to, turn things around in 24 hours too. Sometimes it takes a little work. It takes a long time
Right.
to create something and make something happen. So absolutely. Respect the work that was there before you, and just continue on with the vision of the pastor and the people.
Exactly. Well, Cynthia Davis is definitely shouting. She said, "We love you at the mount." The mount is on fire with Minister Joe.
I love Cynthia Davis. That's my girl.
I don't say like she's got it going on. And that says that to be a minister of music, you need to be consistent in displaying good character. That is a very fundamental thing, character, because a lot of times we get caught up in a person's representative, the one that they want us to see, and then the character is totally different. I've always been taught that your personality opens the door, but your character keeps it open, and that is key. A lot of times I've seen a lot of people that they come into those roles, but because of what they have going on in their character on the inside, it never really works. There's always there's going to be conflict. There's going to be difficulties and things of that nature. But if your heart and your character and your mindset is in the right place, then it will work itself around, and it will come out to fruition the way that you desire it to be.
There's real quickly. There's someone that I'm helping a couple of churches here in Atlanta trying to find ministers of music to come in, and there's this one particular church that I sent a candidate over to, and I've gotten a call back with 2 weeks later. I was like, "Well, say what's going on with the candidate?" And basically they said, "Well, he was a little arrogant." Okay.
Oops.
Arrogant. Arrogant. And
okay.
This is the same person that I see trying to constantly plant his foot in someone's ministry as their minister of music. But we send you somewhere, and the first thing that comes back is you're arrogant.
Arrogant.
That's not your character. Come on now. Come on, people. You have to humble yourselves. Humble is the way.
It really
humble is the way. I have no issues. If something was to happen to me in Mount Oliver, God forbid, I know without a shadow of doubt, I know there are other churches that would warmly receive me. Why? Because of my character. And what I have established here, a good name for myself here in Atlanta, Georgia. Always humble, always humble. When I'm working with churches, always humble. Never come in thinking that you're better than someone or perceive your... Also, study the church. If they dress a certain way, don't you come in overdressed. It's just certain small stuff like that can really make you or break you in trying to
Teach the
become a minister
people.
of music at a church.
Teach the
You know,
people.
we're in a time now where we're dressing all type of way. You know, men are wearing these shirts that are looking like dresses and whatnot. These churches in the South, a lot of these churches are still traditional.
Yes, they are. Yes,
You
I
know,
went. Yes,
if you want the job, you have to apply
you have to
yourself.
apply
You know,
yourself.
just like McDonald's, they got a uniform. You're not finna walk in McDonald's with a KFC uniform on. It's not finna happen. So you're not finna walk in some of these churches looking like you just left the nightclub. It's not finna happen.
It's
Respect the
not.
house. Respect the
Respect the
house.
house. You got to. Demetrius says humility is necessary. That's true. Aaron says that's right. You have to study the church. Larry says working and gleaning from MDs or musicians that might even know more than you. You know, and a lot of people, it's a funny thing that a lot of ministers of music I know, they are intimidated by anybody that has a gift or a talent. And it's like, instead of promoting them and giving them the opportunity to share, they in turn they try to squash them or push them off to the side, you know, like, you're taking the spotlight from me. But I mean, my thing is, it doesn't bother me how talented the people are around me, because actually for me to work with them and you're more talented than me, that speaks something about me, that I'm
Right.
not, you know, that I don't have a problem with it, because as Larry said, I use that to learn more.
Right.
I'm not intimidated. I'm just not intimidated. And I was not trying to intimidate you when we were younger, okay? But that was
Well, you
just,
did.
I didn't mean to, but it's just that I
You
wanted
did.
perfection. But I mean, but honestly, I don't. And I totally agree with you. I do not look at it as being intimidated. If somebody can play better than me, have at it. If you can direct that, have at it. You know, whatever
Right.
it is you do and you do it
Right.
well,
Right.
have at it. You know,
More
it
power to
doesn't
you.
take any, that's it. Doesn't take anything from me. All I'm going to do is get my notes out and start learning. And I'll
Right.
become a better person. That's
A
how I
better
look at it.
person.
That's it. Now, just to get to the end and not, I'm still stuck on this. You got 12 departments. You know, because the average music ministry may have the choir. You may have 2 or 3 choirs, and then you may have the praise dancers, and you may have like some orchestra. But 12?
Yeah, and I do 3 services on the Sunday morning.
So, okay, just out of curiosity, so what is that, like 15 songs a Sunday? Do you have a spreadsheet?
Yeah, trust me, my Sunday mornings, I'm at the church every morning at 6 a.m., no later than 6 a.m.
Oh my
to
goodness.
start the 8 a.m. service. I have to be there at 6 a.m. in order to strategize, make sure everything is in sync between the 3 services, make sure that I'm well, you know, prayed up, make sure that the sound equipment everything is all set and sound, because we have 2 churches going on at the same time. We have the adult church and the teen church going on at
Oh
the
my
same
goodness.
time. So it's a lot of work, a lot of hands, 2 bands, 2 different music ministries. So
Uh-oh, he froze on us. Come on back. Come on back. Come on back. He froze on us for a second. There he is. All right, let me read this comment. And then, what do you mean you intimidated by me? No way.
hello.
Hello. That's what I said.
Hello.
What happened to it? Come on back. Aaron says not being intimidated is not being arrogant. It's just being honest. Well, that's true. That's true. You know,
Absolutely.
and okay, I got Lois. What she say? Angela Lane intimidates those that are learning from her. Whatever. No, I'm not intimidated anyway. I just have passion. That's what we have, right? Isn't that right, David? We just have
Passion. Passion.
That's all it is. Okay, now let's just kind of twist this up a little bit. What are some of the most important skills or things that you've learned? Now, this can cover from I want to say before you knew me. Don't bring me into this. Before you knew me up until now, some of the most important lessons that you learned that you're able to share. David, what you doing?
One of the most important lessons that I've learned, I'm sorry, one of the most important lessons that I've learned from two people. I'll start over here, from Cynthia Nunn and Kenneth
Ah,
Lockhart.
yes, yes,
How to conduct rehearsals.
yes.
It's one thing to stand before the people and just start teaching the song, but to conduct a rehearsal,
Conduct.
teach a song and command the choir to sing and infuse the choir to where their spirit is lifted, and right there in the rehearsal before Sunday morning hits.
Hello,
I've learned that
somebody.
from Cynthia Nunn and Kenneth Lockhart by watching them at the King of Glory Tabernacle Church of God in Christ throughout the Goodwill districts, and of course First Jurisdiction of Illinois meetings. Oh my God, I would run to those rehearsals just to watch them. Before I was in the choir, I was just a little kid on the side watching them. I said, "Oh my God, that's amazing!"
Right.
We have in church right here in rehearsal,
Exactly.
and they singing. And
That's
not only did they command the singers, but the band as well, and that used to amaze me. So I've learned two of those things: how to conduct rehearsals. You had asked me earlier in the conversation some of my inspirations. Of course, those were two of my inspirations, Kenneth Lockhart and Cynthia Nunn. Also, I've learned a lot from watching, technique-wise, people like Valerie Daniels out of Milwaukee,
yes.
Janet Harris, of course, Walt Whitman, Reggie McCracklin from Fellowship, people with technique. They knew how to give those signals that were clear, that were crisp, that you knew exactly where they were going with the song. They knew how to not only move the choir, but they moved the audience with their directing skills. So learning how to direct and give great signals and with precision and commanding the band and the choir at the same time. So I think that is very important to have as a choir director, knowing how to direct, not just flapping your arms, as Nathan Simmons would say, but know how to give clear signals that make sense.
Makes sense, not
right. You're just doing stuff just to be, praise dancing up there. You praise dancing. No, but signals that actually make sense. So, well, I know every now and then you want to give a little extra, but make sure you are making sense when you are directing the choir and the band. Absolutely. So those are some of the skills that I've learned. Also, I don't want to be stagnant,
Right.
I'm always learning, always going to workshops, always hosting workshops. That's another key thing as a minister of music. Don't be so grand and great that you think you got it. No, you need to host workshops and bring in talented and skilled clinicians that will make you want to sit in their sessions and learn something yourself.
True.
Every time I have a workshop, I'm bringing in clinicians that I know that I'm going to learn something myself. So I'm there, once I've done, sweated out, planning everything, I'm there with my pad and my pen, and I'm learning too.
Taking notes, right.
Taking notes too. I don't want to ever think that I've got it all. No, I'm still learning. YouTube is your friend.
Yes, absolutely.
YouTube is your friend. You can learn a lot by just watching.
Yes. Absolutely.
We can sit in church and be caught up in the whole atmosphere of things. But once you get home and look at a video, you can really pick it out, pick it to pieces. You can cut it up, slice it, dish it, stop it, pause it, rewind it, fast forward. You can learn everything, the do's, the don'ts, the wows, the oh my gosh, I can't believe, why did she wear that? No, we can never wear that. Or I think that'd be nice for us. We can wear that. That song, I like that arrangement that they did. Okay, once I bring it to my church, I'm going to put this little spin on it. So YouTube is your friend.
Yes,
YouTube, I call it YouTube University. That is your friend. Absolutely. But staying current. I'm always listening. I'm always buying music, purchasing music. My collection is out of this world. Everybody would tell you that a lot of people that knows me, they'd always calling me for a lot of oldies with goodies that they can't find, or there's this particular song. Da, 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 da. Do you know what this song is? And sometimes 9 times out of 10, I would know exactly what it is. Why? Because I'm constantly listening to music. So as a director or minister of music, always continuously keep listening to music over and over, new stuff over, and keep purchasing music over and over. If that's what you want to do, hey, you have to buy the music. That's what you want to do. You have to listen to the music. If that's what you want to do, you have to learn the music. And when you learn the music, just don't listen to the quiet parts. Listen to the bass. Listen to the keyboard. Listen to the organ. Listen to the different beats on the drums. Listen to the lead vocals. Listen to the ad-libs. Listen to the whole song
in its entirety.
In its entirety, you have to. That's why a lot of musicians, a lot of them, they love me, but all of them don't like me because I have an ear, and I'm quick to call them out. No, that's wrong. That's not the way it goes. That bass line is wrong because I have that ear. Because when I learn the song, I learn the whole song, and so I want to behoove other ministers of music out there to learn the entire song, because there's going to be a day when that musician is not going to show up, or he's going to show up and he's not going to know that music. And you're going to have to stand in front of that crowd and teach that song, because at the end of the day, they're going to leave out saying, my choir director didn't know what he was teaching us.
That's
not the musician didn't know his music. They're going to say, you did not know the song that you were teaching us. So know the entire song, the whole song.
The whole song. And you know what? I'm glad to hear you say that, because a lot of people don't do that. And that was one of the reasons I was able to teach acapella, because I learned not only in gospel, I did classical, the Latin, and every, African, Caribbean. I like all different, Yanni, all different types of genres, but I make it my business. I used to tell them, I'm able to teach this song because I can guarantee you I heard that song at least 50 times. Because each time I'm listening for something different. I'm not totally listening for soprano, SATB, but I'm listening for, as you say, the beats, the music, because I believe in order for you to really teach a song with effectiveness, you need to know that song backwards and forward. You should be able to stop it at any point in time and be able to correct whatever it is at that moment. And that's another way that people develop a confidence in you. Because, I mean, if you don't know any more than I do, then why are you my leader? That's pretty much how I look at it.
But that's true.
But it's true, though. I mean, if I'm standing there, and a lot of times I think people forget, you can't waste people's time. I mean, you sit there and say, well, I don't want you wasting my time. But if I have a rehearsal, I don't know any of the material, and I'm supposed to be the leader, and they're coming to the rehearsal, it shouldn't take, I'm a firm believer, it shouldn't take all day to learn anything.
My rehearsals at Mount Olive do not last no more than an hour and 15 minutes.
We're on the same page. We're on the same page. I don't believe
I have learned that our attention span is that quick. It's that quick. And now with social media the way it is, and it's just at your hands reach, and everyone's so quick to grab their cell phones and everything. Come on now. Once you have these rehearsals, you have to be well strategized, and you have to hit it and quit it.
Exactly.
You have to hit it and quit it.
Basically. I mean,
don't waste the folks' time. This is not the 70s. This is not the 80s. This is not the 90s no more, when we had nothing to do.
No.
All we had to do, we only had 3 stations, NBC, ABC, CBS. We just went home, and 1 or 2 shows, and that was it. But now we have so much to do.
Yes, we do.
We have a plethora of things to do now, so we cannot waste folks' times in rehearsing and just sitting there and going over stuff and going over a part that the director really didn't know the part himself.
I'm sure we both sat in multiple rehearsals where that occurred. And
absolutely.
Huh?
Absolutely.
And I made it my business that I can't do that. I make it a habit of giving people the music ahead of time. and you can go over it. So when we come to rehearsal, we're just refreshing. We're not starting from the basic. You know, I mean, you have to learn to be innovative. That is one thing I definitely learned. You have to be innovative. Everything doesn't work for every choir, but with your group, if you find out this works, then you need to ride that horse and keep going to the sunset. But this has been a very educational journey for all of us. So many people out here have said they have learned so much and that you broke it down for them. I am so thrilled that you took the time to do this. There is a question for you, and then we're gonna wrap this up because I seen you sip that tea. I don't know how many times.
Yes, I've been under the weather, but I'm here for you. I'm here for you. I kept my promise.
Yes, you did. Hatcher, you got to go back and watch the video. I can't give you a recap right now. But John, John says, how long should it take to go over a song? How long does it take to go over a song? That's how much time you should go over. In other words, how long should a song, if you're teaching a song in choir rehearsal? I mean,
it depends on the song.
What do you think?
It depends on the song.
Yeah.
Okay. How many variations is it to that particular song that you're teaching? Exactly. Is it a Richard Smallwood song or is it a Timothy Wright song? Mm-hmm. If it's a Timothy Wright song, you can probably teach it within 30 minutes. If it's a Richard Smallwood song, you're probably going to need about an hour and a half to 2 rehearsals.
True. That's true. It depends on and whether the people are familiar with the song or not. If you're bringing in something totally fresh, it may take a while. And that depends on the song. If it's Enter His Gates with Thanksgiving, it's got a catchy tune to it. It may not take that long. But if you got something like Total Praise, and I'm just saying they never heard it, it might take you a while. So
it depends on the skill set of that particular choir that you're teaching.
Exactly. All of that comes into play. The skill set,
all of that.
The techniques of the director, and I mean it's just a whole different thing. But the average, I would say between 15 to 30 minutes. And again, that depends on the song. But listen, I'm going to end this because I want my friend to come back maybe later on in 2019 when his voice is a little bit better. But I thoroughly enjoyed
I won't be sipping on this concoction next time, trying to get my throat together and get better with this health situation. It's been a lot going on with the end of the year. You know, we had Thanksgiving, we had Christmas, so you had the Christmas cantata, Christmas parties, Thanksgiving concert. Now we're about to move into watch night service. Ooh. So, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. Minister of Music, the end of the year is the most busiest time of the year for ministers of music. Yes, I don't know about you, Andrew, but for me, the end of the year is the busiest.
Yes, it is. Larry said if it's an Israel song, the band will need 2 rehearsals. Okay.
Larry. Well, the band, it depends on the band too. Now, my band at Mount Olive knows that they need to practice their stuff at home before they come to rehearsal.
Oh, yes.
The band should be just like the choir director. When you come to church, you should know that music already.
That's it.
Now I do have a band rehearsal before my choir rehearsal, which only lasts an hour. But my band rehearsal, all that entails is that they come together, put their pieces together, and then we just throw our little cinnamon and spice on it. We're not trying to go over no parts.
Right.
No, you know your part at home.
Exactly. That's it. Know it at home.
I pay you to learn it at home, but when you come to this church, I need you to know it just like I know it. So if I call you out on the bass line, then look, you didn't do your homework.
Now he said, and I'm gonna end this, y'all, because I don't want to wear my friend out. But he said that I was the one that inspired him to become better, but I think it's the other way around now. I think he did way surpassed me. He left me on the other side of the mountain. It has been an awesome show. David, I so appreciate you for doing this for me. I really, really, really do. And thank you to everybody that tuned in out there. This is my last show for the year. I will be back January 16th, actually, with Pastor Kenneth Lockhart. Yes, he is super excited. So he's going to start the new year off. I'm super excited about that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. David, I love you. You know that. We go way back.
Love you
but
more.
I love everybody. Thank you so much. Have a very, very happy new year. If you got
Happy
questions, I will try to get to them. Yeah, I see some questions, but look, y'all, we got to cut this off because this man, his throat, we already passed where I want to be. But anyway, you all have a lovely new year. I'll see you over on the other side in 2019. Everybody, love you all. Peace.
Love you.